Hey girl, I see you've come a long, long way. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. You've come a long way, girl. Pulled yourself out of quite the mess. Those were some dark times back then, but it's all over now. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. This is Trucking with Tammy, where your journey's heard and your voice is free. You're not alone, come share your story with me.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Triumphs and Trials right here on Truckin' with Tammy, the spot where we celebrate the wins and tackle the struggles for women in this industry head on, right? So today we're going to dive into something that hits home for so many of us lady drivers, and that is our personal protective equipment that actually fits. You know the drill. It's either gloves are too big, harnesses or vests, they bunch up. They're too big. They restrict your movement when you're climbing in and out of the cab all day. It's annoying and it's a legit safety hazard. Everybody's overlooking it because one size fits most, right? And we're supposed to fit into a size that was designed with guys in mind. My guest today is changing that. Amy Roosa is a safety pro with over 20 years in the game, everything from construction to transportation, risk control. She's the founder of the Safety Rack. It's a nonprofit that's focused on closing the PPE equity gap for women through education, research, advocacy, and calling out things like pinkwashing. She's also co-founded Women in Safety Events, and she's here to share why proper gear matters and how we can push for better. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tammy. And I was listening to the intro again, and I've listened to a couple of the podcasts, but I absolutely think you might have one of the best intros I've heard for a podcast.
I wrote that. I wrote that.
I absolutely love that. I was just like, it's just calming. It like kind of prepares you for what you're going to listen to.
Yeah, I like to equate it. It's my coffee chat time, right? So good like music getting in, grab you a nice cup of hot coffee and settle in for a girl's talk.
I like it.
So, if you would, can you take us back with your background in safety, with transportation, your public sector, and how you got into the Safety Rack?
So I've been in safety now for 20 years. I started in retail and then just honestly got sick of retail because of the hours and decided to pivot and ended up working for the Iowa DOT. And that was for my first kind of introduction to construction and more of the transportation side of things. And just started growing my career, left there because of limited career growth opportunities, and went to work as a consultant. And it was during that time that I started meeting all these incredible women in the safety industry in Iowa. And they were like, I don't really have a place or a resource to reach out to. Or I'm too afraid to go to the big safety conferences, or there's not, a lot of people that get what it's like being a woman. So around 2017, 2018, I was seeing this and having these conversations and just happened to be talking to a friend of mine that runs part of the community college here in town. And we're like, maybe we can do something. And within 5 minutes, we're like, we're just going to have a conference. That first year we have the conference and I'm like, this is going to be one-off. It's just getting everybody in a room to meet each other so that they can start networking. And by the end of it, they were like, okay, so we're going to do this again. And I'm like, oh, so now we're in our 8th year of doing this. But along with that first year of, hey, we're going to start having this conference, the conversation of PPE came up. And it was really interesting to be in this room full of women and having this very nice gentleman from a distributor up there talking about all the PPE. And as he's talking, he's just going, oh, this is for the guys coming out. We got these new gloves for the guys, these new safety vests, these new boots. And you just see this reaction in the energy in the room change. And I'm sitting in the back going, I feel like something bad's about to happen. And, the hands start going up and but where's our PPE? And the same old thing that we get told all the time. Well, there's not a need for it. There's not a demand for it. And it was in that moment I had this like epiphany that I'm part of this problem because I'm being handed the same PPE. And just recently, a few weeks prior, I had been injured by my safety vest. As I'm leaving a trailer on a construction site to go outside, it pulled me back and I hit the door hit me back, and then my body went back into the fire extinguisher that was right next to the door. So it was all bruised up on one side of me. And that time I had been given like a 2XL safety vest, and I was probably a medium back then. And so I'm listening to the woman, I'm listening to him, and the conversation was really productive. But I left there going, I'm going to start finding the PPE that fits women. I'm going to start getting it out there on my channels. And that was it. And it just became this progressive thing of, oh, you need PPE for women, go find Amy. She'll probably track it down for you. Because by then I was starting to know who the players were with the manufacturers. I was meeting all these incredible women that were designing their own brands out of their own frustration. And so by 2022, to make the very long story short, I had way too much PPE in my house and a lot of high-vis. And my husband just looks at me and he goes, I love you, but you need to do something with this officially. What are you going to do? And so bless him for that, because he's my number one supporter. So I was like, well, I'll start a little social media channel and I'll just do reviews. I'll show it on my body so people know it actually fits women. And within 6-9 months of launching the Instagram and the YouTube, I realized that this was a bigger problem and I could do something more. And so I spent some time between then and 2024 developing the safety rack into a nonprofit, because we are missing a ton of data to be able to change the way this is designed and the way the laws are worded, the standards are written. So I'm hoping that with being the safety rack now as a nonprofit, we are going to start being able to gather the data that needs to be given to the other organizations to make change.
And data is very important. I don't know. So, I'm on a committee with the National Academy's Transportation Research Board, and I don't know, is there a category for PPE through the National Academies?
So your PPE standards, ANSI writes a lot of the standards that the manufacturers are going to follow. Then OSHA adopts those standards, but they also put in their own standards of practice. So recently there was an update to the OSHA construction standard, very not gender specific, but specific to the employer, stating the PPE must fit the employee. And that is mirroring the general industry standard and the marine time standard now. So that was it was a neat thing to see happen finally, because it needed to happen, but it wasn't gender specific, even though we were all rolling out a lot of information going, women on job sites need protection, people.
Yeah, I still think it needs to be a little bit more gender specific in there, because saying it must fit the employee, what we hear a lot is the gear's not perfect, but it works, but it doesn't actually work. And you actually gave me a statistic here a week or so ago about the percentage of incidents from ill proper fitting PPE, which I was really shocked by. I think you said it was like 20%.
It's 1 in 5 women will be injured by their PPE. And then 2 in 5 women will have a near miss, like I did with the door.
Yeah. And I understand that, because in the trucking industry, when you go into orientations, when you are at schools, or, you start with a company, or you're doing something out on the range and they hand you, it's generally a very large, oversized piece of material. I don't want to call it a vest, because it's like a tent. Yeah. And that can cause more harm than good.
Oh, you think about getting in and out of a truck all day. And while I've never been a trucker, my dad was, so I got to see a lot of it, and I would occasionally go with him. But getting in and out, getting that vest caught on something, or having oversized boots that are going to cause you to miss a step, that's a hazard. Or if you're doing an inspection or trying to unload something and it's catching on something, it can have that chain reaction. So yeah, you're very much at risk for an injury or potential for that injury to happen because it's not fitting you correctly.
That's crazy. So have you ran into any like unconscious bias from fleets or suppliers when you're like, hey, we need more women geared equipment?
I think, and that's a really good question. So, and it's slightly complex what I've been discovering. So, and we're also right now, we're in the middle of doing a manufacturer survey. So I might have more insights after that comes out. But a couple of the things that we're finding with the distributors is why they're saying that, oh, we're not getting a demand. We're learning that they're not asking the question to the employer. So if you're just not asking the question to the employer, that's a problem. I also have seen employers that will ask the distributor, knowing they have women's PPE, and the distributor will be like, no, we don't. I had a friend not that long ago call me up in her office going, hey, I have a distributor here, and I know they sell women's vests, but he's saying that they don't. And she had to put me on speaker, and I had to run him through what his SKU numbers were and get on their website to educate them. The other third piece to this, and this was a very recent one, is sometimes your procurement people just don't think about it because maybe they haven't worn that equipment before and it doesn't affect them. And it was a propane company I was working with was looking, they were having an influx of female bobtail drivers, which I thought was great. But they were complaining about their PPE and they were trying to be proactive. And then during the discussion, we had a conversation about needing FR undergarments. So flame resistant bras and underwear, not just 100% cotton. And they stopped and they said, I would have never thought about that. Well, no, because you don't wear it. You don't think about maternity wear either because you don't wear it. Yeah, so if you don't know the problem exists, then you don't know how to resolve it. So that's kind of where we were at on that.
So can you share some of the findings from your equity survey that you did?
Yeah, so we did this in 2023, and we're going to repeat it again, probably not this year, but next year. What we did find, of course, 1 in 5 women are being injured. 2 in 5 are having a near miss incident. What we're also finding is just we're not having access to PPE, right? They don't feel comfortable talking to their employers about it. They don't feel like they can talk to their employers about it. And so part of the equity and safety report, which you can download for free on the Safety Rack website, is really having that end piece of the conversation. And it was a global survey, by the way. So it was really insightful to see the amount of people that responded to it, but also the consistency across the board globally that women are facing with this problem. So it's pretty insightful. The big thing here is that conversation piece now needs to happen from that survey.
So you get the feedback from the suppliers and the fleets, and you do the survey, but what is the feedback that you're actually getting from the women themselves?
Still limited access and still either not comfortable talking to their employer about it or getting pushback, I think, because the old myths still exist. It costs too much to buy women's PPE. It's not accessible. And it's, just not there. And so they just don't want to invest the time in it. So employers really got to start doing the work to understand why that investment is important. Because if your female driver or construction worker or welder gets injured, I think the average workers' comp claim is about $40,000. Are you really going to risk $40,000 over a $16 safety vest or a pair of goggles or hearing protection or extra small safety gloves because you just wanted to get the bulk deals?
Well, trades and transportation are still very well male dominated. And in the transportation industry, we've actually seen a decline in the number of female drivers in the last couple of years. So I imagine that plays a big role in when they source their products, the percentage of male to female that they have. And instead of being able to, it takes an extra step or an extra line on their to order that than it is just one size fits all.
it goes back to that conversation piece, right? The distributor needs to have a conversation with the employer, or the employer needs to have the conversation with the distributor. Those two things aren't happening. The safety person on site should be recognizing that this is a problem, whether they're recognizing it through their safety investigations that they're doing or through just general feedback and observation. So somewhere along the line, the communication is not there. And one of our goals with the Safety Rack is to provide that education on how to have these conversations and how to close the gap.
On a safety perspective, since you have that safety background, I have a little bit, but not as broad as you do. Is PPE and the gender issue a training point for safety professionals? Are they trained on PPE and the difference between sizing for men and women?
I don't think so. I think when we look at PPE, we look at the hazard control triangle, right? That inverted triangle. And PPE, we always talk about being the last line of defense to the worker. But if it's the last line of defense and it's not going to adequately protect them, that's a problem. And so, but we don't talk about it in terms of gender, and we don't stop when there is an accident and we find out that Jane took off her gloves. We're just like, oh, she didn't wear her PPE. We're going to write her up. We're going to coach and then, move on. But why did she take off her gloves? What size gloves was she wearing that, during the accident investigation, we could discover was a large and she needed an extra small? Those are the points where we need to start having more training to have a deeper conversation about that. And the other part of that is, when we look at like the Bureau of Labor statistics that gathers that data, they're not gathering it on, oh, an accident happened, was PPE at fault? No, we just know that somebody fell, but we don't know that it was because their safety vest got caught on their door. And so they fell the 4 or 5 feet off of their truck or ladder and stuff like that.
Yeah, that is something that is, it's very hard to add enough boxes to incident reports to correctly identify all the data we need. We face the same thing with accidents in trucking. We need so much more data to be able to pinpoint the cause. And there's not enough room on a sheet for all the questions and information that you really want to be able to ask for an incident. But do we need to, besides, do we need to add education to safety professionals?
I think there's a layer there. Yeah. The problem with where do we add it is, how does a safety professional get their education, right? I came up learning it like a trade, and I just got certificate after certificate after certificate. Other people go to college for it. So there's a gap within just that system alone of when in the course of our education are we going to come across the conversation to have it. I think organizations like the ASSP are doing an incredible job promoting it. Their Women in Wise group is really on the forefront of trying to push that as well. Because back when I started this in 2018, they were already publishing new data on it as well, along with just workplace safety for women in general. So it was really great to see them bring that to the forefront. But we need to keep doing that within organizations that are our professional development with ASSP or the NSC, and just keep growing that.
Every employee has to take a PPE video course for an employer, some kind of training. And I don't recall ever seeing a video when it discussed proper PPE on FIT, ever.
No. It's kind of glossed over, even in the standard when you see it. And for anybody that's like, OSHA standards are hard to read, it's literally a checklist of do's and don'ts. That's an OSHA standard. So it's in there that it must properly fit, right? It's been in the general industry standard. Now it's in the construction industry. But we tend to gloss over that because we're looking at the other hazards and not just the fit. We're more concerned, I think, as safety professionals or employers, that it should protect against the chemical exposure, or, if you're on the highway, that being visible type thing, or the safety shoes are puncture resistant. We don't stop to think fit. Let's just get it as close as we can and we call it good. And we really have to get out of that mindset. That was the mindset I was in until 2018, when I'm like, we need to do better because it is creating a safety hazard out there. It's creating actual injuries on the job site. And when you get that injury on the job site and you're already dealing with the other layers of being a female on the job site, it's just compounding how a woman's going to feel at the end of the day. And if I can fix that one domino effect and improve a woman's quality on the job, I feel like we owe that to the employee at the end of the day, especially safety professionals.
Well, you're going to make her feel better. You're also going to reduce the exposure, the risk exposure. So you're going to make the employer feel better. You're going to make the insurance company feel better. It's less likely that you're going to be paying out that leave. So I think you're making everybody feel better with proper fit. You're going to hit, the emotional and the logical aspects of it. And one thing I've learned in my career is most problems that we face like this comes from lack of education. A lot of women's products, they blame on us needing it for an emotional need. But logically, it's not that we just want something pink, right? That's where the pink washing, they throw us something
what
pink. Emotional
need do we need for
right? No, we got to have something pink, or but it's not about color. It's about proper fit and safety.
Yeah, the shrink it, pink it, right? That has been saturated in this industry for a very long time. I don't know if it was just a lot of decisions by men in a boardroom or even females in a boardroom, like, oh, we'll just shrink it, pink it, and call it female and it'll be good. But that doesn't actually size it down. Women's shoes are notorious for this problem because they'll take a man's last and they'll shrink it down, they'll pink it, and then they'll sell it to women. Well, when you wear a shoe designed on a man's last all day long, it's not designed for your foot. Our heels, our width, our just overall body mass is different. My friend Emily with Juno Jones explains it a lot better than I probably can, but we can't be doing that. That's an ergonomic problem at the end of the day. And this is not just in the construction industry or trucking industry. This problem is across all industries, whether you're in medical, fire, or even a police officer or military right now.
Right.
There's some level
School
of
crossing guard.
Yes. Yeah. There's some level that's affecting women out there with their PPE.
Yeah. It's not just a transportation. PPE is probably the biggest, broadest item that you're going to have across multiple industries. So with the safety rack and the work that you're doing, what has been your biggest aha triumph moment since you've been out here fighting for
I think
PPE?
the biggest, oh man, there's been a couple of them. I think the biggest aha was when we first started, and I thought, I'm just going to have the social media, and the amount of stories that come in, or the just amount, here's the aha, the amount women are paying out of pocket to find better protection for themselves. And if you will let me, Tammy, I'm going to get on my soapbox, because what scares me the most out of this is, am I allowed just to call people like brands out? Okay, there are social media platforms that sell stuff and they sell it cheaply. And guess what? Your safety stuff that you see on those platforms, once you get them in, are not meeting compliance.
So this is a conversation that we actually had on LinkedIn the other day, and I actually did something. So I am working on my degree, and I had to do a marketing sustainability project. And I did that on a certain foreign company that we were discussing that ships over products, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of products that are PPE or supposed to be fire rated, children's pajamas included in this conversation, that do not meet the standards. And these standards are set globally. So these aren't just like a United States standard and the products made in China, so they don't have to meet US standards. These are actual global standards that all manufacturers who make these products are supposed to adhere to.
And they're not. So I bought something off of a actual bigger website where you can buy stuff all the time. got it because I really wanted these cute looking safety glasses. I'm looking around wondering where they are in my office. But I cleaned it the other day, so it's probably not anywhere I can see it. And I get them in and I start looking at them and I'm like, they don't have the ANSI Z87 on the inside. And then I get back on that website and I try to message the original manufacturer and I'm like asking them for the data and they are unresponsive to me. If you're buying safety equipment, it is easy to get that data off of some people. This is why I say if you're going to buy safety equipment, I only trust the distributors that sell it. So, and I'm going to name drop the Fastenals of the world, the Grangers of the world, the Air Gases, the White Caps, because they're holding the manufacturers that they were buying this from and selling it to you accountable with the insurance. They're verifying that they're meeting the ANSI ratings, the NFPA ratings, any other, the Z87, all those standards, they're double checking for you because they know they're liable if it's not right. And so that's slightly what makes it a little bit more expensive. But honestly, if you think getting a flame resistant shirt off of a shop on social media because it's $14, that should be a major red flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, think about eyewear. I mean, I have had to buy eyewear for in the transportation because we go into warehouses and there's certain places you have to wear them. And if something were to happen or something to fly in and they didn't protect you correctly, you have no recourse with one of these fly by night if they are not up to standards. Versus if you get them from more of a reputable, then they should withstand the limits that they're. And if not, then you have recourse.
This is why we built out on our website the PPE and workwear directory. So it was really important. One of the things I wanted to do was vet the brands, just like these other distributors do, that are actually making true women's workwear and making sure that they were certified. So if you're wondering which brands are there, if you go to the Safety Rack website, you can look at fall protection, you can look at gloves, which, by the way, the glove manufacturers, almost all of them, I made sure go down to extra small to extra, extra, extra small.
Some women have very small hands, very tiny.
And it was hard to find some of those brands. But I've also had women go to the site and be like, I now know where I can find a cut level 5 glove that's an extra, extra, extra small. And that makes me really happy that they can find a safe, trusted resource. But I also still encourage everybody to always vet where they're buying stuff from. I had not that long ago, well, kind of long ago, I was doing a fall protection equipment inspection for an employer, and I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, it's odd that I would recognize a serial number on a fall protection. And then I realized it was a recalled item. So when I asked the employer where they got that recalled item, they're like, well, we bought it online and through this third party. So this third party
I got a really good deal.
Yeah, because they bought recalled merchandise and resold it online, and now you just put your employees at risk. So definitely vet where you get your safety products, because it is the difference between your employees being safe and not having a lawsuit in workers' comp, but it's also you, if you're the person buying it yourself and wearing it, it's the difference between having an eye or losing a finger or getting set on fire and finding out, oh, that $14 pair of FR jeans wasn't FR.
Right. So, those brands that you've been talking about now, are these products that are actually getting it right for women and they're not just shrinking it and pinking it?
They are not shrinking it and pinking it. I have brands that are in the directory in certain categories and not others because they are compliant in one and not the other. So there's a glove manufacturer or a brand in there that has gloves in the glove category, but they came out with a boot. And upon doing the research on the boot, I found that they started the boot in a man's last at the size 9 up. So they were void from being in the foot category, because I'm like, you don't need to be doing that. Why you did that to begin with is beyond me. But I explained it to them as well. So we get the products in. There's a whole pile down there, by the way. And I wear them. I make sure they're to spec. I double verify that I get the testing certificates in to verify. I talk to a lot of these brands too, to just build a relationship and support them. But two, just to make sure that if there is something wrong with a garment, I do send it back with some corrective feedback. I've never set out on this platform to try to beat down manufacturers, because I do think some manufacturers do attempt to try, but I want to give them another opportunity, right? There's intention behind there. So we're trying to keep it a very proactive platform, as much as like that conversation on LinkedIn the other day was like, hey, I'm seeing this and we should all be worried. So do your homework.
Right. Right. So for women who have been listening to this and you hear us talking about shrinking and pinking, and you hear us using the word pink washing, Amy, would you mind explaining to them what that all means? I think we've just been talking about it because it's normal verbiage for us, but not so much for some of the listeners.
And I'm not as familiar with pink washing, but the shrink it, pink it is basically scaling it down, pinking it, and selling it as if it's female material, and it's not. Maybe I'm thinking of something different with pink washing.
No, it's the same.
Okay, it's
another way of saying it. Yeah.
The one thing I've also seen with that is I've seen pink used as punishment on job sites where people forget as a penalty, people forget their PPE, and so they're made to wear it. If you want to wear pink PPE, that's fine. It's not my cup of tea because I want to be able to blend in with clothes that fit me. But also using it as a punishment, I think, is wrong, because if you have an employee that's been up all night with a crying baby and he forgot his PPE, I mean, you're just being a jerk at that point. Just give him the PPE that fits and let him on his way.
I am one of the people that actually likes my pink PPE, but it's pink, but my thing is when you are out there as a truck driver, you have orange cones, you have green cones, you have people running around with the hi-vis green, right? You're used to seeing that. You don't see pink. And when you have things running past you, pink stands out so much and they see you.
No. So that we're going to have this conversation.
Pink I'm wrong. Okay.
So pink is not a recognized high-vis color in the ANSI standard. So the orange, the neon green, and then the yellow, those are the three recognized colors, because they actually have done the studies with the high-vis reflective at the distances, and pink does not stand up.
For farther away.
But you will find when you're shopping, there's a lot of vendors that'll be like, you can have pink, you can have purple, you can have black.
Blue. There's blue, I think.
And it infuriates me, because it's like, we know, like, if you're on the side of the highway, I wouldn't want to be in pink or blue or purple, because your reflective is going to be less at a distance versus that yellow or that green. So it's very important that you're wearing the right colors. So again,
okay. So while pink is cute, it's not going to be as highly visible for traffic as the green or the orange. That's good to know, because that's probably not something that most of the average people know.
Yes, and I want you to be seen on the side of the road so you don't get.
I want to be seen too. I mean, if you see the drivers in these parking lots and anymore, the way they fly through, I definitely want to be seen when I'm walking across.
I know, right? I watch some of them sometimes, and it just blows my mind how fast people drive through, and I'm like, slow down.
Yeah, it's crazy. So as far as the safety rack is concerned, what do you have coming up? Anything new in 2026?
We are waiting on our 501(c) status approval,
Nice.
which will allow us to do more. We're already a nonprofit through the state. We're just waiting on that to do more fundraising. We're doing several industry-specific surveys that are going to be rolling out. One of them will be Women in Fire. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to get some webinars out that are just stuff on knowing your ANSI high-vis safety vest, or knowing which FR to get, or cut-resistant gloves, so that we get that education piece out there so that women are more informed, but also employers can be more informed about the issues that women are facing in the industry with PPE. We're going to be featuring more women's stories about their access to PPE, whether they've been injured or just, grew up in the industry not having access to it, so that we keep bringing that awareness piece out there as well. And then hopefully get more research going soon.
Oh, that'd be great. And you also have a conference, something coming up in the fall, if I remember.
Yep. Midwest Women in Safety will be in Iowa in October. I think it's 14th or 15th. Or both.
Is that open to the public, or is that just registration only?
yeah, if you'd like to come, and if you dabble in any form of safety, whether you're HR in safety, full-time safety, it's a great one-day professional development conference. We do put professional development tracks and then the safety tracks, and you just get to meet about 150 amazing women from around the country that show up to it.
That's awesome. And you have a lot of vendors there, and
Yes, a lot of the PPE vendors too.
That is great. So what is your plans for the safety rack and for yourself? You know, do you have a vision of where you'd like to see it go? What's your...
I want to see it definitely grow. One of my more ambitious goals is to try to do like a global conference on the issue. It's in my brain. It's on paper. It's stuff that I want to do because I want to keep having this conversation, but I think we need to have everybody in the room, whether it's the fabric and textile manufacturers, the distributors, the manufacturers, the people that write the standards. We all need to come together and have a conversation with all industries. And so that's something I'm hoping I can achieve in the next few years, but we'll see. But big thing first is get some surveys done, get more research going, get the awareness and education out there.
Now, are you networking? I mean, globally, do you have, are there advocates in these other countries that you are working with behind the scenes?
Great Britain recently passed some changes to their laws that really focus on women's specific PPE. Women, great stuff coming out of England, and that they're setting the stage for us, I think, in a lot of ways. Canada is a big push on the PPE as well. And then I'm connected with some women in mining in Africa that are actually doing their own research right now, which I will share on the safety rack when they have that come out.
Good. So for women truck drivers or just women in trades that are listening, what should they look for when they're shopping for boots, gloves, hi-vis, or other PPE gear?
One, make sure that it's specifically designed for women. Two, that you can get your size. And then, of course, 3 is making sure that it's meeting the safety compliance standards. So that OSHA, the ANSI, the NFPA, Z87, whatever other ratings are out there that I'm forgetting right now, but make sure it's compliant, because if it's not compliant, it's not going to protect you.
So PPE for dummies here. I'm shopping online. How do I know if it's a fit for a woman? Will it say?
Some of them will say, and when you get into gloves, you get a little bit more generic. So I'm still looking for extra small, extra small, because even men have the same kind of smaller hands. Women's pants, shirts, undergarments, they should have their own category on a website. If they don't, that might be a red flag. If you really just don't know where to start, go to the PPE directory on the Safety Rack website to get started. We have pretty much all the brands on there, and I'm working to get a few more on there right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I wouldn't know what to look for to make sure it was an actual female fit, you know. So I might, you know, and I run into this with hoodies anyway. You go to order a women's medium and you get a men's medium, and you know or a unisex, and it's humongous. So
I had a thought to that, because I'm like, I go to order, well, just hoodies in general. I wear my husband's.
I wear my son's, but that's besides the point. Not everything I wear comes in a man's size, but yeah, I wear sweats too. He'll be like, Mom.
You just gave me an idea. I might do a thing on how to identify whether it's women's or men's on like our Instagram channel, and do a video so that women can learn that difference. Because I think that would be really good. Yeah.
I didn't know if there was like any identifying numbers or information or standard for it.
No, which funny you should say that, because I know a couple of people that feel like there should be something written out. So
I feel like if they're going to have it, that there should be a standard, you know, for it, you know,
and so that's where we're working. We got to get something written so that the manufacturers have better specs. And also these specs aren't written from decades ago. They need to be updated.
Okay, so we covered the females. Now, what about fleet owners, safety managers? What's something that they can do, steps that they can take right now to improve the PPE for their female drivers, female laborers?
Make sure that your PPE policy is inclusive. So it's talking about proper fit for all genders. Make sure that you're working with your procurement department and the distributor so that they understand that you want like for like items. So whatever you have in the male categories, you have for the female categories. And they're going to push back and say, well, we don't have that brand. Push back that they need to go find it or outsource it directly with that brand. You shouldn't have to wait on a distributor to catch up to what you need to protect your workforce.
Right. And if there's an employee, what can they do to advocate this with their company?
That's a good question. Use your voice, bring it up, talk about the observations that you made or the near misses and report them, and push with the safety committees or the safety people to really advocate for that change because we need it to reduce the injuries in the workplace.
Yeah. So would they go to like their safety or HR or both?
I think, start with your supervisor. If you can start with your safety, it's whoever you're comfortable with first.
And it probably depends on how big your company is, on the how it's set up. So if people want to learn more about the safety rack, go ahead. This is your moment. Give them all your deets, all your socials, where to find you.
You can find me, Amy Roosa, on LinkedIn. You can also find the Safety Rack on LinkedIn, Instagram. YouTube has our product reviews, which I'm behind on, but we'll get that going. And then, of course, www.safetyrack.org is our nonprofit where you can go and support, download the equity report, explore the directory, or just browse the different blogs and news that we have up there.
Okay. And if somebody wants to support the Safety Rack or they want to get involved, what do they need to do?
I will have that soon. I'm a little behind on that. It's been a busy.
It's coming. She's been a one woman organization.
Oh, so. And you know this too, Tammy. You know what that's like. So
yes.
We have an amazing board of directors too, and it's just I have to have the courage to link everything on the website for that donation button, but it is coming. So greatly.
Her husband's like, yes, Amy, we need to have somebody else testing these products in their living room.
I am happy to do that. Oh, by the way, I am happy to do that. If you have products that you wear that are female brands and you want to be featured on the Safety Rack, reach out to me on the social medias because I will post your reviews.
I did see some new shoes came out for Juno Jones and the pink tinnies.
You're gonna get them right now.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I think they're composite toe. And they look really super cute. And I wonder how lightweight they are.
They are really lightweight, or at least her other shoes are that I have. But her sneakers that I have, I absolutely love wearing them.
Yeah, I have a pair of black and gray sneakers. But I like the style of this new one she has. And so I was like, I saw that the other day. And as soon as I saw, I was like over there looking and like, and the price wasn't bad either. The price was not bad at all.
And they're really priced well.
Yeah, they are. I was really surprised. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping to have her soon too, because you guys really need to check out these shoes. I'm a shoe girl. Yes. So
and she has a good connection to the trucking industry too. So
she does.
Yes.
She does. All right. Is there any other information that you would like to put out there that we have not covered? I try and do a pretty good job, but we get sidetracked. So
I think we did a good job. I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Well, thank you for being here. I really think that educating the masses is super important, and not just the drivers or the girls that need it, but the people that's in charge that's supposed to provide it, like safety and procurement and everybody in between. This is a conversation that every company should be having.
Yes. One that we need to also close this gap and close it fast.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in today to Trucking with Tammy with Amy. You guys keep it safe out there, and we'll see you next week.